Hey platform, it's Jade from UnJaded Jade. If you have no idea who I am, I'm a YouTuber and I make content about revision and exams, as well as veganism and self-confidence kind of videos. And I'm massively honoured right now to be speaking to you guys on Penguin's platform. So hello and welcome. Today's video is all about how to make classics not boring when you have to study them for school. I personally have always loved reading classics especially. I feel like there's so much to learn from classic books. It's actually super exciting because this video is in celebration of the new edition of the Penguin Originals classic Frankenstein. They've got like this new gorgeous cover and I just love it when books have other coloured pages. I think it just looks really fancy. This gorgeous new edition is in celebration of the 200th year anniversary of the book Frankenstein, written by Mary Shelley. I kid you not, this is one of my favourite classics and I actually chose to study this for my English literature coursework. I had to study a classic text and compare it to a more modern classic. So I compared Frankenstein to The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter. So Mary Shelley basically invented the science fiction genre, and this book is about a guy called Victor Frankenstein, and he's a bit troubled, I'm not gonna lie to you. He becomes so obsessed with science and modern discovery, particularly in anatomy, and he basically decides to breathe life into a monster. Most people always seem to think that the monster's called Frankenstein, but he's not. It's the guy that's called Frankenstein and the monster is Frankenstein's monster. But yeah, the monster is actually probably my favourite part of this book because as a reader you can actually empathise with the monster. You kind of see that he's not just this cruel, brutal monster, but rather he comes into the world almost like an innocent baby, you know? And it's only due to the cruelty of the villagers shown to him and Victor Frankenstein himself that the monster actually mirrors that cruelty and brutality. But yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it if you haven't read it yourself, but I would highly recommend it. And this copy makes it more accessible to read as well because the words are bigger, whereas in some classics I feel like the text is just so tiny. This is definitely accessible for teenagers to read, and Mary Shelley was actually only 19 when she wrote this, which is so mad when you read it and it's such a good book and you think, wow, she was so young. But yeah, very, very rich to study. Okay, so my first tip for making studying classics more fun is to change your mindset. Here's the thing, if you're thinking that you have to read the book and that, you know, you have to read it, you have to slog through the chapter because you've been told to, or you have to analyse this page because it'll get you your grade for an exam, that is the wrong mindset to have, and that is what will make you hate reading it. And it kind of alters your perception of the book, because even if the book's amazing, if you're thinking you just have to do it and you have to get through it, you're not gonna enjoy it, even if it was the best book ever. So yeah, as hard as it might seem, I invite you to change your mindset to the book. I really do believe that when you open your mind to the literature opens in its accessibility and enjoyability. So yeah, reading doesn't have to be a chore. Number two, some people think this might be cheating or like shameful, but I genuinely don't think there's any shame in it, and that is to watch the film or TV adaptations of the book. If you're not really much of a reader, then I think watching the film can make you realise why the book is worth reading and why the plot's so good, why the characters are really interesting, and I feel like it can actually breathe life into the characters, especially if when you're reading you find it hard to like imagine them. I think you can appreciate setting more as well when you watch a film. Like, it's meant to be fun, you know, no shame in watching the film first. Also, excitingly, you know that this book is written by Mary Shelley, right? I just watched the trailer for this new film that they are making called Mary Shelley, about Mary Shelley, and it has Elle Fanning in as like the main character, and I'm so excited to go see that. Also, it's incredible because it's the first female Saudi Arabian filmmaker, like director, making this film. And I think the film's out 6th of July or something like that, but very exciting, and I think it's an easy way to learn more about the context of an author's life if there's a film made about them. Which actually brings me on to my third point, which is research the book. I genuinely think it's so fun to know more about the time that the book was written in, or learn about massive events that happened in the author's life, because there always will be parallels in the book, and when you spot them, it kind of deepens your understanding of those events. Break the book down, go on Spark Notes. If you're getting confused with the plot, look it up, you know, look up like a summary. There are some classics like Wuthering Heights, which I had to study last year, which have confusing timelines and storylines. And I guess that's part of the fun of them, you know? Chat to people in your class about it. It's never fun feeling confused. So I think if the classic does confuse you or the language confuses you, don't stay confused. Look it up, you know, and then it becomes more fun when you do understand it again. Number 4, this kind of marries together 2 points I've already said, but immerse yourself in the author's life. So whether that means watching a film about them, or you can even go to like their birthplace and stuff like that. Like I went to Jane Austen's house. I've been to Stratford upon Avon, which is where Shakespeare like grew up, and random trips like that can equally breathe life into what you're studying. You can read other books written by the author, which equally makes it more fun because you can compare the texts. And number 5, and I think this is quite an important one in actually making it fun. I mean, when you're studying texts, you're going to be talking about it in class, you're going to be chatting about the classic with other people who might have read more classics or be more knowledgeable of the time period. And I think it's very important to recognise that you just need to go at your own pace and you shouldn't compare your knowledge to other people. Don't worry if this is the first classic you've ever read and there's that person in the class who's read seemingly every classic ever written. Equally, don't be afraid to talk to classmates or teachers if you don't understand plot points. Classics can be very dense and they can have very twisting plots, and that's okay. If you don't understand a word, put up your hand and ask what the word means. Like, that's okay. There's probably someone else in the class who feels exactly the same. Yeah, so don't be afraid to go at your own pace with the novel. And I think when you actually spend time on your own with the classic, even rereading it again for just purely for fun, I think that's when you really do start to have fun with it because you're choosing to. Studying a classic doesn't just have to be for a grade or for an exam, and I think it's actually super rewarding to read and study and analyse these amazing works of art. So I'm genuinely intrigued as to what your favourite classic is. Like, please tell me in the comments down below. I'll come over and I'll have a conversation with you. I have a few favourite classics. Frankenstein is one of them, partly why I chose to study it. I also love Pride and Prejudice. I know it's quite like a classic one to say, but yeah, just the humour of it is amazing. To Kill a Mockingbird is also one of my favourites, and although it's more of a modern classic, I also love The Great Gatsby. If you would like to see the video that I filmed on my channel for Penguin as well, which is more about tips for studying the classic at school, how to revise it and how to memorise quotes, ways of breaking the novel down to study it better, resources, etc., then head over to my channel, UnJaded Jade. But yeah, if you feel at all encouraged to read a classic for fun or make studying them for school a little bit more bearable, then please give this video a like. I do believe classics are for everyone, even if they seem a little bit tough at times. Also, please do subscribe to this wonderful platform here. Penguin are amazing, they publish some gorgeous and incredible books. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I loved being here. Yeah, thank you so much. Bye!